Archaeologists discover a 500-year-old shipwreck in the desert, but what's inside shocked them. In 1533, a mysterious event shook the maritime world. A ship carrying gold, precious gems, and treasures vanished without a trace while en route to India. The ship not only lost millions in material wealth, but also carried with it the fate of its entire crew. However, no one could have predicted that nearly 500 years later, a chance discovery in a dry desert would unravel all the mysteries of this ship. The Portuguese ship named the Bom Jesus was believed to have carried a massive treasure, including gold, precious gems, and countless valuable artifacts. It set sail from Portugal in 1533 but never reached its destination. While many theories were proposed, the disappearance of this ship remains one of the greatest mysteries in maritime history. It wasn't until 2008 when a group of diamond hunters accidentally found traces of the ship in an unexpected location, the Namibian desert, thousands of miles away from the coast. The story of the Bom Jesus seemed to have faded into oblivion until a team of diamond miners from the Namdeb Diamond Company was working in the Namibian desert. As they dug through the dense sand of this dry land, strange pieces of wood and metal began to surface. Unbelievably, they immediately called Dr. Dieter Nolli, a famous scientist from South Africa. With Dr. Nolli's guidance, the excavators quickly realized that the Namibian desert had once been a bustling coastline, frequently affected by massive storms. This led them to speculate that finding a shipwreck here wasn't so surprising. Excavations officially began soon after. After a week of intense work, archaeologists and excavators made a remarkable discovery. They found a treasure trove filled with gold coins. In just 45 minutes of excavation, they recovered 24 pounds of gold coins, a huge amount never before seen in other excavations. These coins, after analysis, were determined to have been minted around 1525 to 1538, matching the time frame when the Bom Jesus sank. The treasure not only contained gold, but also featured many other valuable artifacts. Archaeologists found copper bowls, copper ingots, more than 50 pieces of ivory, ancient astronomical tools, compasses, swords, and many other items, including firearms crafted 500 years ago. Notably, Portuguese silver coins were also found in pristine condition. In total, more than 400 artifacts were unearthed from the shipwreck site, including over 2,000 gold coins. By this time, the archaeologists realized that this wasn't just any ship. It was the Bom Jesus, the legendary ship that historians had long dreamed of finding. The gold coins, ivory, and other artifacts were evidence of the wealth and mystery the ship carried. This discovery not only solved one of the greatest maritime mysteries, but also raised new questions about ancient ships, daring ocean voyages, and lost treasures that may never be found. The treasure of the Bom Jesus was not just material wealth, but also proof of the power and influence of the Portuguese Empire in the 16th century. The story of the Bom Jesus and its treasure will surely continue to captivate generations of researchers, treasure hunters, and history enthusiasts. This is one of the rare mysteries that modern science and technology have been able to unravel, bringing unexpected answers. And even though more than 500 years have passed, the story of this legendary ship will live on, a testament to a golden age of maritime exploration and endless adventures. This is indeed an impressive archaeological discovery, isn't it? But you might not imagine that the world still holds countless more remarkable discoveries like this. Huge treasures buried beneath the sea, millennia-old ruins suddenly revealed in the sand, and even perfectly preserved mummies and remains, all of which hold fascinating stories behind them. And I'm about to share them with you now. Let's continue watching. The airplane, resting at the bottom of a lake for 60 years. In the summer of 2004, in the icy lands of Russia's Arctic Circle, a fisherman made an unexpected discovery. When sunlight penetrated the crystal-clear waters of Lake Mart Yavor, he saw blurred outlines covered in silt, signs that something lay quietly beneath. As the diving team approached, they were stunned to find an intact Bell P-39 Airacobra fighter plane resting at the lake's bottom at a depth of about 16 feet, buried in fine mud up to the tips of its propeller blades. The P-39 was not just a remnant of war, it was a time machine, preserving memories buried for over half a century. Miraculously preserved by the fine mud, the plane retained its almost complete shape. The rescue team took advantage of the rare favorable weather conditions, using airbags, a truck winch, and a tripod to raise it from the water. But when they reached the cockpit, an eerie silence enveloped them. Both cockpit doors were sealed. This was completely contrary to the emergency procedure when an aircraft lands on water, as at least one door should have been opened for the pilot to escape. Then, the heartbreaking truth was confirmed. The pilot's remains were still inside. He had been there for 60 years, unknown to anyone. By October 2004, the pilot was buried with full military honors in the Valley of Glory, closing a quiet yet sacred chapter. Another detail that particularly surprised researchers was the condition of the plane. Although a small section on the right wing was missing and magnesium parts like the wheel axles and engine cam covers had deteriorated over time, the P-39 was still incredibly impressive overall. Additionally, an interesting detail was that the 0.5-inch machine guns mounted on the wings had been removed, though it remains unclear why. But the biggest surprise came from the ammunition compartment, where the excavation team discovered 6 cans of American stew. The old canned goods, still intact, contained pork, lard, onions, and seasonings, likely a soldier's field meal from the frozen front lines. Not only that, but the most significant discovery was the maintenance logbook left in a document box near the right wing door. Although some pages had rotted away, most of the content was still legible. Thanks to this, the pilot's identity, flight milestones, maintenance schedules, and even the P-39's final missions were verified. It was as if the airplane was telling its story after decades of silence. The Bell P-39 was not just a war machine. It was like a letter sent backward through time, recounting stories of courage, sacrifice, and the people who silently contributed to writing history. No one knows exactly what happened in those final moments, in the thick Arctic skies. All that is known is that the pilot never left the cockpit, and the airplane became a cold iron tomb, keeping him among the desolate wilderness. But thanks to the chance of fate and the dedication of those who love history, his identity was restored. The remains were laid to rest, and the airplane was restored, not just as an artifact, but as a living symbol of memories that will never fade. In today's world, where everything moves quickly and memories can easily be forgotten, the story of the P-39 resting at the bottom of Lake Mart Yaver reminds us that every sacrifice deserves to be remembered. Whether it's a missing pilot, an airplane thought to be lost forever, or even the faded pages of a logbook, their stories all help illuminate a past that still lives on. 900 bottles of rare French wine at the bottom of the sea. In 2019, a special journey quietly began in the heart of the Baltic Sea. This wasn't a quest to hunt for treasures of gold and silver or the wrecks of majestic warships, but rather the pursuit of a royal gift that had been buried for centuries. The goal was the wreck of a cargo ship that sank during World War I, carrying 900 bottles of rare French wine, originally sent to serve the last Tsar of Russia, Nicholas II. According to historical records, the ship set sail from France in the early 20th century, carrying high-end barrels of wine, symbols of luxury, power, and friendship between the two nations. However, fate had other plans. While heading toward Russian waters, the ship was sunk by a German submarine, carrying the royal gift to the deep ocean floor and vanishing from human memory for nearly a century. It wasn't until 1999 that the wreck was discovered by chance. However, due to the harsh conditions and the scale of the operation, recovery efforts were delayed for almost 20 years. It wasn't until Sweden, Russia, and Finland collaborated that the operation finally took off. In 2019, exactly 100 years after the fall of the Romanov dynasty, the last of the vintage bottles of wine were brought to the surface. Inside the intact cargo hold were 600 bottles of spirits and 300 bottles of sweet wine, all miraculously preserved under layers of cold mud and salt water. But what shocked collectors and historians was not just their age, but the legendary origin of each drop of wine. Notably, the sweet wine is believed to have been crafted by French monks over 500 years ago, following a secret recipe passed down only through word of mouth. Each bottle was not just a masterpiece of flavor, but also a historical gem, encapsulating the story of an era of empires, royal diplomacy, and the shadows of war that abruptly severed all connections. Experts estimate the value of each bottle at tens of thousands of dollars, but more valuable than their material worth, for history lovers, is the story behind them. It is a gift that was never delivered, a dynasty that fell, and a message from the past, preserved not in books, but in every drop of wine that had rested on the ocean floor for more than a century. Mysterious yet impressive, isn't it? The ancient Baalbek ruins and its gigantic stone blocks. In the land of modern-day Lebanon, nestled beneath the towering mountains, lies an ancient architectural complex that has amazed the world. The ruins of Baalbek. Situated over 3,780 feet above sea level, Baalbek is not merely an archaeological site, but also an unsolvable historical puzzle. The most remarkable feature of this site is the Temple of Jupiter, one of the greatest constructions ever built during the Roman Empire. The temple is not only colossal in its architecture, but also astonishing because its foundation is placed on 3 massive stone blocks, each weighing up to 80 tons, equivalent to the weight of over 130 full-grown elephants. But the oddities don't stop there. About a mile from the temple, at an ancient quarry, archaeologists discovered an unmovable stone block known as the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. Measuring 70 feet long, 20 feet wide, and at least 18 feet high, it is estimated to weigh around 1,815 tons, making it the largest stone block ever mined by humans in history. This number far exceeds the technical limits of ancient times, and even our capabilities today. Modern calculations suggest that to lift this colossal stone off the ground would require at least 25 heavy-duty cranes. And that's just the first step. Moving at hundreds of meters across rugged terrain is nearly impossible. If human strength was used, it would take about 60,000 workers simultaneously, a completely unrealistic number given the space around the stone. So the biggest question remains, how did ancient people accomplish this? What technology did they have? Or is this evidence of a lost civilization that was far beyond the understanding of modern humanity? The Stone of the Pregnant Woman still rests in its original position, tilted about 30 degrees to the ground, with its tail buried in the earth as if left unfinished. Did the ancients miscalculate their ability to transport it? Or did they possess a technique that modern humans still cannot comprehend? If we say that Baalbek is not only an ancient monument but also a challenge across time, I think it would not be an exaggeration. The 1,000-year-old villa, holding a treasure. This story began when Luke decided to dig up his garden to install electrical cables in his old shed. Little did he know, during his work, he accidentally uncovered a historic structure dating back between 1,500 and 2,000 years, right under the land where he had been living. This Roman villa, built around 175 to 220 AD, had undergone several renovations until the middle of the 4th century. According to archaeologists, this villa likely belonged to a Roman noble family, possibly with 3 stories and a length of about 300 feet. The villa was not merely an architectural structure, but also a treasure trove filled with valuable artifacts, offering immense research value. After the discovery, Luke Irwin immediately alerted the authorities, and experts quickly arrived on the scene. They spent up to 8 days digging, studying, and excavating the area. Despite being located at a significant depth underground, the villa had been remarkably preserved by nature, retaining many ancient artifacts, including coins, pottery, jewelry, and even the bones of animals that had been hunted during the Roman period. One of the most astonishing discoveries was the coffin of a Roman child. This find is particularly important because in previous Roman villas excavated elsewhere, items related to children are extremely rare. Additionally, the researchers also found oyster shells, a clear sign that the villa's owners were wealthy, as oysters were a delicacy reserved for the upper classes of Roman society. Dr. David Roberts, a renowned archaeologist in the UK, emphasized the significance of this discovery for archaeological history. According to him, Roman villas found in Britain are rarely so well preserved, and they always provide invaluable insights into the lifestyle, culture, and prosperity of ancient Rome. Notably, this villa contained artifacts from the Roman period, as well as items from the post-Roman and pre-Saxon eras, providing a comprehensive view of societal changes through the ages. This discovery is truly groundbreaking, not only for history enthusiasts, but for anyone fascinated by the wonders hidden beneath the Earth's surface. The discovery of a Roman villa right in the backyard of an individual serves as proof that history can often be right next to us, just waiting to be uncovered. The Secret Passage in Peru, revealing 19 mysterious 750-year-old wooden statues. In 2018, During what seemed like a routine excavation in Peru, archaeologists unexpectedly discovered a secret passage that had been buried for centuries. However, what stunned the team was not the architecture of the passage, but the strange wooden statues lined up along both sides, with hollow eyes and eerie forms that were chilling to behold. According to the Peruvian Ministry of Culture, these statues are 750 years old and belong to the pre-Columbian civilization of the Chimu, which flourished along the central and northern coast of Peru from the 12th to the 15th century. These statues were not just works of art, but were considered embodiments of deities, symbols of power, and religious rituals in the ancient city of Chan, one of the largest power centers in South America at the time. Chan was unlike any other city. It was the largest city in the world, made entirely from adobe, with grand architecture divided into 9 citadels, surrounded by towering walls of earth that seemed to conceal a whole civilization within. At its peak, Chan was the largest commercial and political center of the Chimu, a wealthy, sophisticated society with an extraordinary organizational system. However, all of that came to an end when the mighty Inca Empire descended and conquered Chan around 1470. A civilization that once stood on par with the Incas vanished, leaving behind the ruins of a glorious era that only survives today through collapsed walls, hidden passages, and especially the 19 mysterious wooden statues recently discovered. To this day, what puzzles researchers is the true meaning of these statues. Why were they placed in a secret passage? Could this have been a ceremonial space for the priests? Or was it a gateway to a sacred area that the Chimu once revered? Each statue, handcrafted and depicting different faces, seems to convey a unique message or story, waiting to be deciphered after centuries of silence. Chan, with its pristine adobe beauty and the spirit of its ancestors, still holds many secrets that remain untold. And these 750-year-old statues might just be the key to unlocking a new chapter of history, a chapter that modern humanity has only just begun to touch, yet still does not fully comprehend. The strange fossil of 2 monsters entwined. A recent study from the University of California, Davis, discovered a strange fossil of 2 creatures entwined with each other. A marine lizard fossil resembling a giant dolphin, which contained the fossil of another sea reptile almost the same size. According to scientists, the creature in question is a Guizhouichthyosaurus, measuring 15 feet in length, with a shape resembling that of a giant dolphin. This species appeared in the oceans around the early Triassic period, following the Great Permian extinction. The fossil is about 240 million years old. Inside the enormous creature's belly was a Xinpusaurus xingiensis without a head, belonging to the group of thalattosaurs. This species had many features similar to ancient lizards, but much larger, growing up to 12 feet in length and possessing 4 paddle-like limbs. Based on the dental structure of similar specimens, experts say this species primarily hunted small, soft animals in the ocean, such as ancient squid. The fossil shows that the stomach acid of the sea creature could not fully digest the enormous meal. It likely tore the prey into smaller parts, but still tried to swallow a large piece that included the entire body and part of the tail, leading to the digestive issues. The ichthyosaur had relatively dull teeth, and earlier studies concluded that this species could not have eaten large animals. However, according to Professor Montani, a paleontologist at the University of California, Davis, now we can seriously consider that this species did eat large animals, despite its dull teeth. Many scientific studies suggest that they didn't necessarily need sharp teeth to eat meat, and their discoveries prove that assumption wrong. Clearly, this sea monster was able to devour enormous meals with its dull teeth. The bizarre fossil was unearthed in a quarry in southwest China in 2010, but recently became the focus of research in a report published in iScience. To preserve its intact condition, the specimen of the 2 entwined creatures is now kept in its original form at the Xingyi Geological Park Museum in China. 150. Strange objects from 1.4 million years ago of Homo erectus. In an excavation at the Ubaydiyah site in northern Israel, one of the oldest locations related to human presence outside of Africa, archaeologists were stunned to discover 150 limestone objects with perfect spherical shapes, seemingly dating back 1.4 million years. These were not natural stones. They were intentionally shaped, remarkably round, with a symmetry that modern humans only began to appreciate in art or geometry millions of years later. But the question remains, who made them and why? Experts believe that the creators of these objects were Homo erectus, or upright man. This species was our ancient ancestor, living in a half-human, half-ape form, with a face still quite primitive, but with the ability to walk upright and notably use simple tools. However, the appearance of these perfect spherical stones has shaken previous assumptions about the technical skills and cognitive development of early humans. According to Dr. Antoine Muller from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, researchers are still in heated debate. Some suggest that these objects were tools used to break large stones, thus having an applicational purpose. Others suspect they may represent an early form of aesthetic thinking or even a form of pre-art. What baffles archaeologists the most is that 1.4 million years ago, humans were still in an extremely primitive stage. According to all previous theories, we were only making sharp stone tools for cutting and had not yet developed the ability to create complex geometric shapes like perfect spheres. So, did Homo erectus evolve faster than we thought? Or is this evidence of a form of intellectual development that we have never documented before? It is also possible that these early humans unintentionally created these stones through experimentation, not fully understanding what they were doing. Regardless of the hypothesis, the stone spheres at Ubaidiya remain an unsolved mystery, a distant message from our distant past. In an era where science seems capable of unlocking all mysteries, the existence of these 1.4 million-year-old objects serves as a reminder that there is still much about our ancestors that the modern world has yet to understand. The 3,500-year-old temple and the mystery of child sacrifice in Peru. In the waters of Huanchaquito, Peru, archaeologists recently discovered a 3,500-year-old temple, revealing remnants of an ancient, mysterious, and somewhat eerie culture. Thought to belong to the first fishermen of the Gramalot village, this temple provides clear evidence that they were not merely coastal dwellers, but also had a highly complex spiritual life. Previously, researchers believed that this community hadn't developed enough to have their own dedicated places of worship and instead had to travel for hours to reach the large temples in the region. However, this groundbreaking discovery has overturned that assumption. It turns out they had their own temple, right within their living area. When the excavation area was expanded, the research team discovered an open central corridor, designed with steps that may have served as a ceremonial platform where sacrificial or prayer rituals were conducted in front of the entire community. Behind the corridor were more personal spaces connected by long halls, indicating a hierarchical structure within the temple, which could symbolize a division of power in the society of that time. Another interesting detail was the remains of reed pipes, suggesting that the temple's roof may have been made from this primitive material. This not only reflects an adaptation to the climate, but also provides insight into the construction techniques of the indigenous civilization thousands of years ago. What stunned the scientific community even more was the discovery of 3 child skeletons within the temple complex. These remains suggest that child sacrifice, an action both mystical and brutal, may have been an integral part of the Gramalot people's religious practices. Why were children chosen as sacrifices? Were they selected for their sacred significance, or to ask for good harvests and peace from the sea? Although there is no definitive answer yet, it is clear that the newly uncovered ancient temple has ignited a global debate in the archaeological community. In the sands of time, some stories are still waiting to be told, and this 3,500-year-old temple is one of the most mysterious chapters in Peru's history that has only recently begun to be unraveled. The 3,800-year-old Pyramid of Asia. When we think of pyramids, we typically picture massive structures in the deserts of Egypt or the jungles of Central America. But did you know that in the vast plains of eastern Kazakhstan, there exists an ancient structure with a unique and extraordinary shape that is leaving archaeologists around the world stunned? Yes, this is a 3,800-year-old pyramid, built by an ancient civilization that once thrived in Central Asia. What makes this pyramid particularly remarkable is its shape, which is completely different from those of Egypt or the Maya. Instead of a square base like the Egyptian pyramids or a step design like the Mayan pyramids, the Kazakhstan pyramid has a regular hexagonal base, a rare and extremely mysterious design in the ancient world. According to Dr. Ulan Umitkaliev, Head of the Department of Archaeology and Ethnology at the Eurasian National University, this structure was built using stone, with massive megaliths weighing up to 2,200 pounds placed at each corner, demonstrating the incredible organizational and building skills of the people at that time. Although the roof is no longer intact, the presence of a large artificial mound above it leads researchers to believe that this may have been a type of pyramid used as a tomb for the elite, similar to the function of the Egyptian pyramids. Inside the structure is a stone maze about 10 feet high, leading to the center, where an ancient tomb is located, likely belonging to a leader or a person of high status in the society. Even more astonishing are the intricately carved stone walls, depicting familiar animals from the steppe, such as camels and horses, creatures closely tied to the nomadic life in the region. The archaeologists also found numerous burial goods, including jewelry and ancient pottery, suggesting that the people of this area had a well-developed jewelry-making craft. While they cannot definitively confirm the presence of human remains, the tomb structure and the arrangement of the stones provide enough evidence to paint a picture of a well-organized society with profound spiritual beliefs dating back nearly 4 millennia. The inhabitants of this land are thought to have been skilled livestock herders living in large communities, capable of constructing monumental stone structures, leaving a distinct mark through pyramids that are only now beginning to be uncovered. The 3,800-year-old Pyramid of Asia is not just an archaeological wonder, but also an important piece in understanding a forgotten civilization in the heart of the Central Asian steppe. The ghost ship exposed in the desert. Imagine you're lost in the vast desert of Uzbekistan, where the sand flies like a storm and the sun scorches everything in its path. Suddenly, amidst this desolate scene, an image that leaves you stunned appears. A rusty ship, abandoned alone in the dry sea of sand, as if it has wandered off from some distant ocean and run aground in an unfamiliar world. But no, this is not a dream, but the painful remnants of the Aral Sea, a once proud inland sea of Central Asia. At its peak, the Aral Sea was one of the largest lakes in the world, covering nearly 27,000 square miles. It was once a bustling center of economic and social activity, with a thriving fishing industry that supported the livelihoods of tens of thousands of people in the surrounding areas. The ships that once sailed across its waters now lie as zombies, abandoned on the cracked, dry land. The cause of this tragedy was not natural, but rather the result of bold yet unsustainable decisions made by humans. In the 1940s, the Soviet government initiated a large-scale project to divert water from the Amu Darya and Sir Darya rivers, the two main sources of water for the Aral Sea, to irrigate vast cotton-growing regions in the desert. From there, the nightmare began. In just a few decades, the water level of the Aral Sea dropped dramatically, by 8 inches per year in the 1960s, 24 inches per year in the 1970s, and a record 36 inches per year in the 1980s. By the time people realized what was happening, it was too late. The water receded, the fish died off, the ecosystem collapsed, and the entire fishing industry, which once fed thousands, disappeared without a trace. By 1991, when Uzbekistan gained independence from the Soviet Union, there were glimmers of hope for revival. A small amount of water began to return, but the joy was short-lived. Chemicals from agriculture, used indiscriminately for decades, had seeped into the soil and water, making the surrounding land toxic. The people began to face terrible consequences like poisoning, tuberculosis, cancer, and an uncertain future. In response to the disaster, the international community began to act. In 2005, a large dam was built to restore the northern part of the lake, helping raise the water level, reduce salinity, and allow life to return. Some fish species have returned, a few fishing ports have been restored, and hope began to rekindle in the eyes of the people. But much of the Aral Sea remains a faint memory, with ghost ship graveyards lying still on the hot sand. Even United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon once referred to it as one of the worst environmental disasters of our time. Indeed, the Aral Sea is not just a loss of resources, but also a harsh warning to all of humanity about the cost of manipulating nature without long-term consideration. The rusted ships exposed in the desert today no longer sail, but they still tell a story about a sea that once was, a mistake that once occurred, and an opportunity we must not let slip away again. The shattered skeletons. The village of Warham Percy, located in North Yorkshire, England, was once a bustling and thriving settlement during the 12th and 14th centuries. However, in the 16th century, the village was suddenly abandoned and faded into obscurity. Recently, archaeologists excavated the area and discovered broken skeletons, sparking much curiosity and questioning. But what is particularly noteworthy is that this was not an accident. According to researchers, there is a very special reason behind it. During the medieval period, stories of the undead or zombies were not uncommon. It was believed that people who died from serious crimes could return from the grave, wandering the village, spreading disease, and attacking the living. Therefore, dealing with these walking dead was a significant concern in society at the time. The method to prevent these mobile corpses was to destroy their bodies. Archaeologists found skeletons broken into pieces in the village, an action that, according to research, was intended to prevent the deceased from coming back to life. But that's not all. Experts also discovered that some of these bodies showed signs of being burned before being dismembered. This suggests that these individuals may have been suspected of being dangerous and needed to be eradicated to protect the community. Studies also indicate that most of the victims were locals, making the story even more intriguing. Could it be that the villagers had to protect themselves from threats posed by the deceased? And were these myths real, or simply a delusion born from the extreme fear of people during that time? These discoveries not only help us understand more about medieval beliefs and superstitions, but they also raise big questions about life, death, and how we view resurrection. Warham Percy, with its shattered skeletons, is not just an archaeological site, but also a mysterious tale about humanity's fear of the afterlife. Ancient crocodile fossil as big as a bus. In the dry Sahara Desert, where everything seems still and silent, an extraordinary discovery has changed our understanding of the prehistoric era. Paleontologists in Tunisia have recently uncovered an incredibly impressive fossil, the remains of an ancient crocodile species, far larger than the modern crocodiles we typically see. What's truly astonishing is that this crocodile was not only huge, but also completely unknown to the scientific community until now. This prehistoric crocodile, named Machimasaurus rex, has been described by researchers as gigantic. And indeed, it was truly massive, measuring over 30 feet long and weighing as much as 6,600 pounds. Just its skull was more than 5 feet long. Imagine a crocodile almost the size of a bus, making this creature not only a formidable predator, but also a dominant force in the prehistoric food chain. Researchers believe that Machimasaurus rex was a super powerful crocodile that ruled the seas and wetlands it inhabited around 130 million years ago. This discovery was published in the journal Cretaceous Research, with Federico Fonti, a researcher from the University of Bologna, contributing to the study. Fonti shared that the finding of this giant crocodile fossil has completely changed how we view life in the prehistoric period. According to Fonti, this crocodile was likely an ambush predator or scavenger, a trait that would have made it a notorious hunter in the ancient animal world. With its incredibly strong bite, Machimasaurus rex could easily crush its prey, and hard-shelled turtles were probably one of its favorite meals. But the story doesn't stop there. This discovery also solves a significant mystery in the history of biology. Crocodile species belonging to the group that Machimasaurus rex is part of were thought to have gone extinct 150 million years ago, at the end of the Jurassic period. However, the fossil of Machimasaurus rex reveals a surprising truth. This crocodile species survived the Great Extinction, meaning it lived around 130 million years ago, far longer than previously believed. This has led researchers to reconsider theories about the extinction event that was once thought to have wiped out all large species, including crocodiles. Could current theories about the Great Extinction be wrong? And are there other species that survived the devastating storm of that era, continuing to live and evolve mysteriously in hidden corners of Earth? Scientists now need to re-examine geological history and ancient species to better understand what happened at the end of the Jurassic period and the major ecological changes that took place at that time. This discovery is not only a crucial milestone in paleontology, but also opens up many new research opportunities. 2,000-year-old Roman city beneath a construction site. Imagine walking through a modern construction site in southern France, and perhaps you'd never expect that beneath the earth and broken bricks lies a historical treasure more than 2,000 years old. But recently, archaeologists uncovered the ruins of an ancient Roman city named Usicia, deep beneath the ground in Uzes, an area known for its historical landmarks. This truly remarkable discovery opens a door to the glorious past of the Roman Empire. Before this discovery was recognized, Usicia only existed in history books through an inscription in Nîmes, an important Roman outpost. Historians had only a vague knowledge of the city, with no physical evidence to confirm its existence. However, during a recent excavation, the team unexpectedly found clear traces of the city, marking a new chapter in the study of Roman history. According to experts, Usicia was likely established around the 1st century BC and thrived until the 7th century. This coincides with the Roman Empire's golden age, when cities and outposts were expanded across territories from Italy to present-day France. Therefore, the discovery of Usicia not only sheds light on an important piece of history, but also provides valuable insights into the development of the Roman Empire during this period. One of the special findings from the excavation includes stunning mosaics. These mosaics were not just simple works of art, but also reflected the lifestyle, beliefs, and environment of the ancient Roman inhabitants. The intricate geometric patterns and images of animals such as deer, ducks, owls, and eagles on the mosaic tiles vividly demonstrate the Romans' cultural diversity and reverence for nature. Additionally, a house with a large collection of ceramic jars was also discovered. These jars were commonly used in Roman architecture to store food and household items. Notably, a room with a central heating system, known as a hypocaust, was also excavated. This advanced Roman technology used hot air circulating beneath the floor to warm buildings, a feat not achieved by all civilizations at the time. Archaeologists are continuing to excavate and study these findings. Although the area is now home to a boarding school established in 2019, no one can deny that what has been uncovered beneath the old earth is a priceless historical treasure, helping us better understand a bygone era and the remarkable achievements left by the Romans. With each excavation and discovery, we get closer to the glorious past of ancient empires, where remnants that seem to have been swallowed by time unexpectedly rise again, telling us fascinating and mysterious stories about a great civilization. 4 Roman swords. An ancient weapon cache from the Roman era has just been discovered in a remote cave in Israel. But behind these swords, the historical story holds many mysteries waiting to be solved. This armory was found in a small cave located within the En-Gedi Nature Reserve, a famous and extremely hard-to-reach site. The reserve lies on the western shore of the Dead Sea, a land full of mysterious stories and ancient historical traces. It seemed almost impossible for anyone to find this treasure, yet archaeologists bravely navigated the treacherous cliffs to uncover a piece of ancient history. So why were these Roman weapons hidden in such a mysterious cave? There is an intriguing theory proposed by researchers. They believe these weapons were the spoils of war from the Jewish rebels who rose up against the Roman Empire's rule. At that time, the Roman army had been attacked, and these swords may have been seized by the Jewish fighters after fierce battles. When discovered, these Roman swords were still well preserved. Archaeologists were astonished to find the blades sharp and intact, stored in wooden scabbards with intricately designed handles made of wood or metal. Notably, 3 of the swords had blades about 24 to 26 inches long, which is typical of the spatha sword, the standard weapon used by Roman soldiers. One remaining sword had a shorter blade, around 18 inches, which may have belonged to a lower-ranking soldier. What makes this discovery even more fascinating is the preservation process. After being carefully removed from the crevice in the cave, the team immediately transferred the swords to the laboratories of the Israel Antiquities Authority for analysis and conservation. Initial results suggest that these were standard swords used by Roman soldiers stationed in ancient Judea, a strategic and important region in Roman history. From these swords, we gain a clearer insight into the lives of Roman soldiers of the time, as well as the rebellions and tense battles between 2 powerful forces. These weapons are not only tools of war, but also serve as vivid evidence of the ongoing struggles that lasted for millennia. You might wonder, aside from these swords, what else could be hidden in caves and unexplored lands? Are there more historical secrets waiting for us to uncover? Although we may not have an exact answer to this question yet, discoveries like this certainly promise many more fascinating stories to explore in the future. Let's look forward to what archaeologists will unveil next. Dear friends, over the years, archaeology has brought us many surprises and mysteries, from ancient mystical temples and long-buried artifacts that suddenly reappear after centuries, to mysterious mummies, all of which hide a scary and mystical ritual behind them. Especially, there are many eerie situations that the field of archaeology has faced over the years of exploration. So, among the discoveries mentioned above, which one impressed you the most? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this video. Now thank you, and see you again soon.